Good evening, everyone. I'm Jake.
And I'm Z.
And welcome back to Hungry Talks. So Z, what's your food for thought today?
I was just thinking, can you believe this is already our second episode? Are we doing a good job? I think we are. Let's cheer each other up. We got this, Jake.
We got this. Anything else on your mind?
I've been thinking about how crazy it is that we, as Gen Zs, are so tied to the digital world. The internet has allowed us to share literally anything with the world. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And how we can literally connect with anyone around the globe. How great is that?
It really is. But like all things in life, it has its pros and cons.
For sure. I feel like we're getting more divided as a society these days. Just the other day, I posted an opinion online and things got heated.
Tell me about it.
I shared a picture of a Nutella and cheese sandwich on Instagram. I was not expecting to start a war.
Nutella and cheese? You had it coming.
I just wish the digital world could be a bit more loving and understanding.
Well, guess what?
What?
We have the brilliant Dr. Jay Daniel Thompson with us today. Dr. Thompson is an expert in ethical online communication and probably the best person to let Jake downly Z about his not-so-appetizing recipe.
Okay, and guess what else?
What?
We have some awesome past Hungry Talks members joining us today.
No way!
Yes, Way. We'll get to hear how they've been doing, ask them for some tips and tricks, and also get some insights into creating safer online spaces from Dr. Thompson.
That sounds amazing. As advertising students, we know how important it is that our campaigns, messages, and interactions with consumers all contribute to a positive online environment.
This is Hungry Talks after all.
I'm getting excited.
Okay, let's do a quick rundown of today's agenda. First, we'll hear from Chelsea and Luca from last year's Hungry Talks team.
Next, we'll chat with our former host, Charlie and Jaia.
Then we'll have our guest expert, Dr. Jay Thompson, for an exploration of fake news and integrity online.
Sounds like a plan.
Let's get started.
This week's quick brief is from Adobe.
And the focus is on Adobe Stock.
As creatives, we know how important good ideas are, but high quality content is what really makes those ideas come alive.
If you didn't know, Adobe Stock is like an online library for assets for your creative work. It offers royalty-free stock photos, audio vectors, graphics, templates, fonts, videos, and more. Plus, it integrates seamlessly with all Adobe Creative Cloud apps.
It really comes in handy sometimes.
So what's the challenge for this brief?
To source an image from the Adobe Stock library and create a poster or artwork in any format.
And the execution should feature the line, "Did you know, blah, blah, blah."
Come up with something on the spot, Jake.
Right now?
Yeah, you're creative.
Did you know Adobe Stock removes the watermark? My insight is work using unlicensed stock images looks very unprofessional and they're really unusable. So I've got a stock image of a woman pointing at the reader, of course covered in watermarks. Get Adobe Stock to make your work not look terrible.
Okay, that's actually pretty clever.
Your turn.
Okay. Did you know Shang-Chi started as a stock image? This is Simu Liu before he landed his big role. Cute, right?
I think that's him celebrating after landing the role. Look how happy he is.
Would you buy Adobe Stock after seeing that ad?
Maybe if I was a talent scout.
We learn new things every day. So, any new tips and tricks for the challengers?
This brief seems like a fun one to just go crazy with. Play around with it and see what you can come up with.
I agree. Just have fun with it. We can't wait to see what you come up with.
Be sure to submit your quick briefs to us at quickbriefs@hungrytalks.com.au. For more details about the brief, head to our socials for more info.
Get your creative juices flowing.
We're here with Chelsea and Luca from last year's Hungry Talks team.
You guys did such an amazing job last year. How have you been doing? Where are you guys now? Tell us all about it.
We're getting too excited here, Z. Let's start with Chelsea. First off, congrats on your new role as production coordinator at Hogarth.
Thank you.
Well, you've transitioned from being a creative producer to this. Can you share with us how you landed the role?
Yeah, so I've been in the role for about 5-6 weeks now.
Fresh.
It is fresh. And yeah, I finished uni and basically just started emailing people relentlessly. I still have a list on my computer of everyone that I contacted. It's quite a long list. It took a long time to get lucky, but eventually I did, and there was an opening, and I'm loving it. It's really great.
That's nice.
Awesome. And what's your day-to-day look like as an executive, as the producer at Hogarth?
Unfortunately, not executive just yet. But, that's the goal. But as a production coordinator, I am just doing anything that my producer really needs me to do. So quoting and estimating and timelines and any kind of crazy idea that the creatives throw at us. We have to see if it's doable with the budget we have and the time that we have, and that's usually a big challenge.
Would you say it's a lot different compared to your role in Hungry Talks?
It is quite different, yeah. So being creative producer on Hungry Talks last year was working with Luca a lot as the writer and the whole team, making sure we were ready every single week and the same every single week. And of course being live production as well, it's there's some risk involved with that. Whereas now it's really like over months I'll be planning for a shoot, and then it's it's different but very similar skills.
Did any of your skills that you gained come in handy? Can you think of anything that you learnt on Hungry Talks that you've been able to put into practice at Hogarth?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people skills and just working to deadlines. I mean, I think I loved being producer on Hungry Talks, and I think that's kind of when I figured out that that's something that I wanted to do, and I've taken that with me to Hogarth.
Nice.
Are you working on some exciting projects at Hogarth at the moment?
I am. Some things I can tell you about. We have some pretty cool clients. We have like Amy and Cadbury.
Oh, cool.
So there's been some cool things happening there. We just did that Amy Olympics one, was really fun. I didn't get to work on that, but there's been some really big shoots in the mix.
So, Luca, you were the copywriter in last year's Hungry Talks.
Yes, I was.
And we had a blast coming up with the quick brief you wrote.
Oh,
Yep.
thank you.
So you're now a media coordinator at Principal Media Group, right?
Yes.
Yep. So how did this transition come about?
That's a great question. Well, I have to give the credit to the pitch night team last year for coming across this job. So during that time, I had an interest in media and wanting to go into that ad media field. One of the people that was scheduled to have a chat with on pitch night was I don't know if I would say Emma Goodchild and Emma Bastian, who are representatives from PMG, and I had a chat with them. We talked about what we did at Hungry Talks and just like my interest in media, and we kept in touch. She reached out to me in about early January, and she's like, do you want to come for the interview? Came for the interview, and so I just think I've always kind of had a bit of an interest in media and like the data side of advertising, and I think there's a bit of copywriting and that bleeds into the role a bit. So that's it was a very natural transition, actually. I'd say. Yeah.
Can you share more with us about what you do as like a media coordinator?
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
never really heard of media coordinator.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that makes sense. So I sort of act, in a sense, a bit of a middleman. So I work directly with the clients or the agencies who will send to me, for example, if you want to get a TV ad on the air, you would send it to me. I will check in with the team, make sure that we have activity booked for the time that you guys want it live, that it's ready to go, that we got it for the best kind of value that we could get it for. And then I check. We get it through a system called CAD, which is basically just a very elaborate approval system that the ad can be on the TV. So it's
that is usually what I would do as a producer.
Yeah.
So making sure that it's like up to scratch with the industry's standards and regulations and stuff, and then I'd pass it off to someone.
Yeah. And with one of my clients being Sportsbet, there's a lot of regulations that we have to follow. A lot of Sportsbet takes compliance very seriously, so it's something that we look for. It's something that we take a lot of care in when sending them out. So then we send it to the networks, and we get the ad on air, and then we report on its progress.
That's great. And how does it compare to the role that you were doing on Hungry Talks?
I think there's a lot that carry over, and there's a lot that are new to the role. I would say some of the stuff that carries over, there is still a bit of copywriting in there. So we do a lot of live reads and credit lines for radio. So I'm very fortunate enough to do a bit of writing for those. So that's really exciting and cool. It's like to flex those kind of muscles a bit again. And there's deadlines, there's communicating with other people in the industry. So a lot of that kind of is consistent with working as a media coordinator in PMG, but there's also whole new sides to it. Where there's a lot more Excel spreadsheets in this role than there was in Hungry Talks. Not that Hungry Talks had its any starvation of that. There was a lot of that Hungry Talks too. So I think there's a lot new. And obviously, there's no live studio like kind of environment, as I'm not really at a creative side. I'm more purely ad media. But you still get to do really cool things with people within the industry. Very much like Hungry Talks, we get to do very cool stuff here. So yeah, I have to give credit to Hungry Talks. I think if I didn't have this Hungry Talks role, I wouldn't have found the job that I found today. So yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. Sorry, you on it.
So from what I've heard from the two of you, networking has really been like a big thing since you guys got the role kind of through networking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us some advice on, how to do that well, I guess?
Yes. Just keep trying. I mean, I sent so many emails and so many unreturned emails. Kind of like putting my heart on the line, like, please hire me, like, let's just have coffee, like, I'll pay. And it's really tough because, you're just ready to get started, and it's pretty demoralizing when you don't get replies or there's not the right role for you yet. But I think both of us kind of have a good, pitch night worked out, and old emailing worked out. So
that's nice.
Yeah, you just got to know what you're good at. You got to know what you're good at. You got to know where your strengths are within the industry. And I think if you talk to the right people that also have that mutual interest and also have that mutual strength in the industry, you'll find that a lot of people tend to look out for each other. We find that in ad media, it's a very positive side of the industry. Everyone looks out for each other. We all do things together. We all lift each other up. It's a very positive side of the industry.
That's nice to
So
hear.
I think once you find that when you talk to people in the industry, they want to help. They want to help.
Yeah, definitely.
That's great news, and we're super excited about where you've both ended up, and it's been great to have you on today to tell us all about that. So,
Thank
thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks
so
you
much
for
for having
having
us.
us.
Next up, we'll have our ex-hosts Charlie and Jaia joining us.
Welcome back.
I'm Jaia.
And I'm Charlie, your new host for the season.
We're your Barbie girls, and this is our Barbie world.
Welcome back, Charlie and Jaia. We adored the two of you last year.
It's great to have you guys back. How does it feel to be on the other side of the interview today?
Feels strange.
Yeah, I know, sitting on the other side. But I mean, we can have a bit of fun now.
Can't believe it's been a year though.
I know, my lord.
Wow, we still see the chemistry going on.
Oh, it's gone quickly though. It's gone so quickly. Yeah, no, but thank you. Thank you so much for having us back.
It's an honour.
So, Charlie,
Yes.
you've taken on an exciting role as an executive assistant at Ogilvy. How did this opportunity come about?
Yeah, so actually it was kind of from the end of pitch night. So pitch night is important. But basically I was reaching out to everyone I interviewed with just to follow up and see if that could lead anywhere. And I organised a one-on-one with someone who is now one of my bosses.
Oh, that's nice.
So unfortunately at the time they didn't have any openings, which many students may find towards the end of the year. But a few months later they reached out to me to be like, hey, we've got this position opened, would you like to interview for it? Oh. And the rest is history.
Oh, awesome. So while you've been there in that new role, have you been working on some exciting projects?
Yeah, so I'm like around everything. I don't want to say too much, but I'm also sharing an office with Chelsea, who was on earlier. So we've got the same clients.
Nice to see familiar faces, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can share lunch if we're not too busy sometimes.
Did you come in at the same time, or was
Yeah,
it? Or
yeah,
did
we
you
got the
show up at
train
the
together.
office and there was Chelsea waiting for you in the.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's good.
So, Jaia, you're still at RMIT,
I
right?
am still here, guys. So students, take as long as you want. I have one more subject left, and then I'm getting out of here. And I have some travel plans for Southeast Asia later in the year, just to like, yeah, I want to travel more. But yeah, I had so much fun doing this last year, and I know I definitely want to get into the industry. I'm just taking my time, and yeah, I
Can you
guess
share with us what's the biggest thing you think you have learned from your time as host on Hungry Talks?
that I can talk a lot, and that I like sharing it with someone as well.
Yeah.
To
We ha-
just bounce.
Exactly, we had a good combination, and we can see you two growing into that as well.
thank
What's
you.
this, episode 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll get better and better and better,
Are we
and,
doing
it,
well?
and
Yeah.
it already's
Yeah.
great. Like, you know, we had some fumbles at the start, didn't we?
You just gotta roll with it.
Yeah, we really did. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of that, were there any memorable mishaps from last year that you can laugh about now? Share with us. You know, we
What, the
wanna
auto
know.
cue?
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, like we didn't have many, but the biggest one I remember was the auto cue, and it just crashed, right?
Oh.
So for those that don't know, there's, you know, they can see some stuff, right? We're getting fed stuff. Anyway,
There is text there, guys.
it just crashed, but the segment we were doing was about like reading. ChatBT was talking to us, so
Yeah.
we were using my computer, which was always on the desk anyway,
Yeah.
as a fail-safe just in case. But it literally like timed that
We
were
just
both
played into the bit that we were meant to be reading off the laptop, and that auto cue had not, in fact, crashed,
Wow.
and we weren't
Yeah.
stressed at all. I think we fooled the crew.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
definitely
we-
fooled me.
we-
I had no idea.
Yeah. So when things happen, things are going to happen. Don't worry. Just you've got to roll with it, and
yeah.
keeps going.
And I feel like if the mistake does get seen, you don't have to even acknowledge it, or if you want to, just like keep going with the mistake.
Or make it a joke. Be
it a
like,
joke.
oh, sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
Just smart. Yeah, and besides that, you know, sometimes like we were rushing back between
Yeah.
the sets, and we were like, oh, should we be there or should we be here? But we kind of, by the end of it, we were a well-oiled team, and that's really thanks to the rest of our team as well. And
Yeah.
obviously you spoke with Chelsea and Luca, but before, like Luca did all the grunt work with the scripting, and Chelsea was putting out fires everywhere she went, and she, like gunning it. And then obviously Simone with the editing and everything else she was doing, and Steph like the content creation. Yeah, we had a really great team. And I would say that as well. Like even though we had our assigned roles, right? Like we're the hosts and everything, but like Charlie, sorry, you did so much. You did so much of like the art direction, and you designed a lot of the, you know, this TV stuff.
it's definitely like a group effort
like
where
teamwork.
everyone like needs to come
Yeah.
together and just meet up, and it becomes a little like project and little baby that you want to see it do well, I suppose.
So much fun, yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say was your episode that you were most excited to film during your Hungry Talk season?
Honestly, I think I liked the second last episode because I got to interview Samantha Andrews.
Right, that one.
Oh, cool.
Sorry, Jaia.
Yeah, one without me. Fair enough. All right.
Not there?
No, well, it was like it was a bit. It was a bit.
Oh, okay.
But that was definitely one of my favorite interviews because I was just so excited to
Well, what
see
about
her in
you?
person.
What's your...
I don't know. The finale was pretty fun.
Yeah.
We had obviously John's band come in, and that was
Oh,
cool.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I really liked the one with Little Rocket because that was at the same time as the World Cup was going and the Matildas were doing so well. So like I got to wear
time.
my
I
scarf and
Maybe like, go, let's
yeah, exactly. And I love football, so it's great. And they had a crazy game the other day against Zambia. Anyway, that's unrelated.
Very high scoring.
So yeah, like just honestly all of them and all of like the little segments that we'd film outside of the studio, and it was just so much fun. And yeah, it was just like, again, trust each other,
Yeah.
be really creative, like think of outlandish ideas as much as you can, and you'll come. And you know, you'll have weeks where you thought, oh, that could have been better, but no one knows except you know, and you're already doing a
Yeah.
great job. So
And yeah, basically every week you're going to pick up new things, being like, oh, we could do this next week, and then let's see how this goes. And no doubt your confidence will like build up every single time, and everything. It's so much fun.
Well, speaking of creativity, how do you get your creative juices flowing, you know, despite having, you know, tight deadlines and everything?
Yeah.
you should answer this one more than me. I mean, you go first.
I like to do things outside of work because sometimes my work right now isn't completely creative, but I do get to sit next to the like creative department, which is so cool. But I also am like putting a strong emphasis in what I do at home and like my hobbies and everything like that. So I just want to like put more time into that. So for like an outlet, I'm doing more like volunteering for like shows like this at RMIT still. And yeah, things like
I
that.
looked at your portfolio. They're amazing. At your website.
Thank you.
Yeah, I loved it.
Definitely the best in the year, I reckon. A lot better than mine. Look, I've never been like that good at kind of creative outlet in terms of like Adobe and designing stuff, but I'm a very creative individual in the way that I'm thinking and the way that I'm talking. My final subject that I'm doing is live performance art, so that's really cool. That's gonna like, I'm in the arts faculty, which I guess I've been surrounded by performers and artists my whole life, which I guess is why I'm good at this, and I love it. But yeah, I really, same what you're saying, Charlie, like just, you know, keep up your hobbies, keep seeing your friends. And also like, it's really good, you know, dive in as much as you can on what you're doing. But then, you know, like the moment of inspiration might come when you're on the tram home and you're talking to your mum and you go, oh, ding, and then you like, you know, write it down or like whatever. It's just, yeah, I don't know, go watch films, you know, consume all of the things that are surround that as well. Yeah.
Are there any exciting projects on the horizon for the both of you at the moment?
I don't know. I'm just seeing like where work goes and everything
sometimes
like
it's
that.
okay to, you know, just flow and things will come
Exactly.
along the way.
Yeah.
What about Jaia?
Just travel. Just
Yeah.
travel. And actually,
Right.
I guess the final subject, the performance art subject, that's going to be fun because that will be more performing. So,
Yeah.
and you know, it's still uni, which is like, oh, how long have I been here now? But
That's okay.
yeah, keen for that.
So
Yeah.
this question is for us. So if you could do one thing differently during your time back in Hunger Talks, what would you do?
I would definitely, I wanted to do it all season, but I didn't get a chance to throw a table somewhere. Or a chair.
I feel like there was a reason for that. I think people stopped that happening.
No, people definitely saw that.
It was getting deleted out of the script.
Exactly. I was like, so let's try like.
You're like, I swear I had a
throw a
dream
table.
this happened.
No regrets.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, well, it's been lovely catching up with the both of you and hearing about your experiences since leaving the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining us and sharing your stories. We hope we're making you proud as the new host of Hungry Talks. And
Definitely.
Wish you both all the best in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Done so well.
Thank you for joining us.
Welcome to Market Research, where we take a break from providing the insight. Tonight we're joined by Luca, Jaia, as well as guest speaker Dr. Jay Daniel Thompson. Dr. Thompson, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm a senior lecturer in professional communication. I research media ethics and the terrible things people do to each other online. I don't do them.
I'm glad to hear that.
You persecute them?
This week we've asked our panel, are you concerned about the potential for your work to be used in disseminating fake news? Jaia?
Well, sure. I mean, look, I'm not doing work yet, but it's something I always am thinking about, you know, with our class doing last year as well. Like, yeah, it is pretty scary what AI is capable of. I mean, it's also pretty funny. I think there's like, you know, a lot of fun is going to be had with it in the future as well. I think, yeah, hopefully there's going to be policies that are in place where, you know, I don't know, does the AI have a watermark or something where you can know it is? Because I think it's especially important where people that maybe don't have the best critical analysis are involved. So America. So yeah, just kind of, you know, if you know what AI is and you know how to, you know, you can see it, then that's a good thing. But it's going to be a point where it's going to be tricky.
Yeah, I agree with that. Luca?
Look, well, in terms of my work specifically, I don't think I'm too worried about that spreading misinformation. I don't think I really work across AI too much or anything like that, or in a patch that would use that to spread misinformation exactly. But with the idea of, you know, AI using to spread misinformation, absolutely, I think that's something that we're going to have to consider. And I think there's some silver linings to it as well. I think opportunities like that can provide jobs as well. I think we're going to see a field open up for people that it's made for their job to verify whether something is real or AI. I think that's something that we'll probably see coming in the next few years. So yeah, I mean, look, I think right now it is still in a very experimental state. You can if you pay attention, you can definitely tell. But look, there have been moments where I've seen things here and there. I have to kind of do a bit of a double take. So yeah.
I'm here on the RMIT City campus asking students if they think the advertising industry contributes to the spread of misinformation. Let's find out what they think. All right. Do you guys think that the advertising industry contributes to the spread of fake news and misinformation?
I mean, yes, it definitely can. For example, in the US.
It's like I've never seen an ad and it's struck out as that, but I wouldn't be surprised to hear that that's happening.
I think it definitely can, but I think advertising is just another use of media, and any kind of media can spread misinformation if used incorrectly. In the wrong hands, it can definitely spread harm.
You think that the advertising industry contributes to the spread of misinformation?
Yeah.
I definitely think that it can, and I think it's a bit dangerous. I think it's getting harder and harder to tell with the invention of AI. So.
I do think it does sometimes, especially when it's something political, that they tend to embellish a lot of things and draw attention to things that may not necessarily be 100% true.
I think it definitely has an impact, but I heard that stricter and stricter rules are coming up to limit the level of misinformation, so I hope it will be better in the next years, so we have a more transparent view of a product.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, thanks, guys. No worries. Dr. Thompson, do you think that the advertising industry spreads misinformation?
I don't want to libel myself here. I certainly think there's propensity for any industry to distribute willingly or otherwise information that's not 100% correct. Hey, we're all human, except for ChatGPT.
Yes.
I think what concerns me is if you realise you've made a mistake, you own that mistake and move on. In terms of artificial intelligence, look, the genie's out the box, eh?
Yeah.
There ain't no going back. I think it could be used for incredible good and truly terrifying purposes.
Are the results of this video that we just showed you, are they surprising? Is it problematic that people out there feel this way?
I think, like what we've already said, we all have a fear and also a kind of interest in where it can go, where it can take us. So I think it's valid that people have that fear. I think we all do, because there's a lot of unknown unless you're a professional. But even
Professional what?
Well, whatever. Professional what you're doing and figuring it out.
Reassure us, please.
Reassure us, please. But if even you have concerns and what's going to happen, because it's such a big, it's a global thing. It will be a global issue. It will be a global impact. It already is. And then those two people are just like, nah, no worries. Like, maybe they're the guys that are just like, yeah, we'll just make money off AI. Like, we'll just spread some misinformation and love it. Or maybe, I don't know.
It seems like some people are advocating for legislation, some stronger legislation to prevent the spreading of misinformation in advertising. Do you guys think that's a good idea?
I think that's the appropriate next step.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be.
Because there is some legislation. Is it strong enough? The laws surrounding misinformation in advertising, or are we not doing enough to stop it?
Well, I think we all have a role to play. I'd say as AI becomes more sophisticated, when we really can't tell the difference, that's when we as media consumers and professionals need to get more vigilant. With our critical skills, as my learned colleague has said here, as well as our willingness or otherwise to share it.
Next up, we have a post that went viral on the platform formerly known as Twitter. X. Here we have a clip from that video. The video was a parody campaign slandering presidential candidate Kamala Harris. It used AI to convincingly mimic Harris's voice, leading to controversy. Here is that clip.
But my knowledge of international politics is truly shocking. The United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. Do you think the country went to over the past 4 years? You ain't seen nothing yet.
That clip gained over 100 million views after Elon Musk reposted it with the caption, "This is amazing." What is the significance of this post to social media regulation?
Well, I think it's a shame that someone like him is the head of that social media. Otherwise, it would be taken down for spreading false misinformation.
We hope.
We hope, certainly.
Yeah, I think we haven't heard the last of this. I think this is going to be a pretty big story in the next coming weeks of AI being misused in political campaigns and stuff like that. And I think it's only really a matter of time until it becomes a much bigger story, and it's used as the butt of Kamala's running campaign.
America's scary.
A little bit.
It certainly is.
A little bit.
Of course, what we have to remember about campaigns like this is even if you know that it's parodic, what it does is contribute to an environment where you're unsure what's real and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
It might be Kamala saying all of this.
Yeah.
She might be the deep state terrorist.
Yeah.
Political warfare.
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
Because you got to think, old people use social media too. And, it's this kind of content that can really deceive that demographic. Not to put her on blast, but my mum showed me a video the other day of a plane crashing. I had to tell her that it was a clip from GTA 5. They don't have a good sense for this stuff.
Mom.
They don't have a good sense for this stuff. So I'm 100% confident that there's been some people that have seen this clip and has thought that is genuinely real, and Kamala Harris has genuinely said that. So I think that adds to the part of the problem as well.
That's quite amazing. She really believed that. Wow.
Yes.
And let's not forget who's sharing it. It's the most famous man in the world sharing this video uncritically, like it's poos and giggles, on a platform that he's got an ownership stake in.
Well, that's all we have time for in market research. But if you, the audience, have any questions or comments for us, anything at all, please send it to our email at quickbriefs@hungrytalks.com.au, and we will probably read it out on the show in episode 3.
Meanwhile,
Joining us as an academic guest this week, we have Dr. Jay Daniel Thompson.
Welcome, Jay. Can you start by telling us a bit about your journey in professional communication and what led you to focus on ethical online communication?
That's a great question. It began with my PhD, but it really kicked off around 2017 when fake news became a buzzword that seemed to refer to everything. It was anything Donald Trump didn't like. It was disinformation, information posted to intentionally mislead and confuse. It was conspiracy theories. It was propaganda. It was bits of facts and bits of fiction thrown into a blender. And so I asked myself at this point, well, why now? Why are we suddenly seeing this phenomena called fake news, and what can we as media consumers and professionals do to respond ethically to it without repeating any damage it may cause?
Yeah. And so we noticed that you mentioned that fake news comes about during cultural shifts.
Yes,
Can you please explain to us what that looks like?
How long do you have? I think it all comes down to Web 2.0. So, of course, the contemporary internet, you can produce and disseminate information at a rate and at a scope that would not have been possible with so-called heritage media. There are many good things about that too. I'm not anti-internet. One thing I will say is that often it can be very difficult for the consumer or producer to verify information before it goes out. But if that information generates quite heightened emotions like excitement or fear or anger, like e.g. that Kamala video we were talking about, you're likely to share it, and you may share it without asking, well, has it been debunked somewhere else? You know, who's producing this? From whose loins do this emerge?
Yes, yes.
It's a fast-paced media scape.
Absolutely. When you look back pre-Web 2.0, was fake news?
I feel like a
around?
dinosaur.
It's was fake news a big issue in those times before there was that speed of dissemination that we see now?
Well, look, it wasn't called fake news. That, my understanding is that's a more contemporary term, and it's certainly a term I've become familiar with in the last 8 years.
Yeah.
Or whenever Trump started running as presidential nominee.
Yeah.
Of course, there's always been misinformation. That's not new. There's been disinformation. That's not new. There have been factually dubious and unclear media reports. That's not new. Where the problem starts is the speed and the scope of this information. And what happens when you've got all this fake news, this partly true, wholly incorrect information out there in the mediascape, you know, being consumed on TikTok, Instagram, you start to question what's real and what's not. And that's got, I think, quite significantly troubling ramifications for democracy.
Yep. And since you said false information is everywhere right now, what do you think we can do as individuals to kind of lessen the impact of false information? Is there anything we can do about it?
Oh, absolutely, I think there is. And that is, and I can't believe I'm approving the conspiracy folk here, but do your own research. No, but hear me out. Where is this information coming from? Has it been verified? Who is producing it? Has it been debunked or even pre-bunked somewhere else?
Because I think a lot of people, like me, it's kind of, it's easy to just read through everything we see and believe. Is there an easy way to kind of figure out if what we read is true or false? Is there any tips for us to kind of, like...
Who's publishing it?
Oh, like who's publishing
So
it?
who's publishing it? Is it... Where is it being published? And all of this gets really difficult when we're talking about things like deepfakes, when we're talking about the AI-generated voice in the Kamala video. It becomes ever more difficult. Ask questions. If in doubt, don't share.
Okay.
If in doubt, do not share, particularly if it's of a politically contentious or inflammatory nature. Toast with Nutella and cheese, not with
yeah. And I guess that feeds into
As it
digital
were.
hostility. Yeah, of course. And your research on digital hostility as well, that seems like that really feeds into the fake news, or well, the fake news that we see the most of is that like the abrasive stuff. How do you create a safer online environment?
I think if I was to give you a comprehensive answer, this would be here all evening, and I don't think you're very happy with me. Question everything you consume. Think. Slow down. And I think that when we interact with someone in a way that might seem hostile or abusive, it's often we're not thinking about how they will be receiving it. Consider other people. Be considerate. Your actions have consequences. And they can consequences for you as well. What's the benefit for me of sending out this information or resharing this particular tweet? Even if you're resharing it to criticise it, you're still amplifying it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for our last question, where do you see the future of online communication heading in the next 5 to 10 years, and what role do you hope to play in shaping it?
That's a great question, and a hugely ambitious question. I definitely think we're going to see the growing complexity of artificial intelligence, including deepfakes. Like I said, I'm not anti-AI, but there need to be guardrails put in place. What forms they take remain to be seen. I think I definitely think we're going to see a lessening of hard copy media, even less so than we've got now. And I'm going to wager we'll see a greater role played by social media as a source of news.
Yeah,
And of course, that's got pros and very distinct cons.
definitely.
All right.
So
well,
thank you so much for
you
your
for having
insights
me.
on ethical online communication, Jay. Today's conversation has really made us rethink our responsibilities as advertisers and how we can promote a more positive online environment.
absolutely. Thank you for joining us, Jay. It's been incredibly enlightening. Thank you very much. Best of luck.
Thank you for inviting me on.
Coming up next, we have our Ad of the Week. As we've seen throughout this episode, the internet is a wild and turbulent place, filled with a massive range of emotions and discourse.
Social media offers great opportunities to connect, access information, and express ourselves,
But it can also be harmful if misused.
especially for kids and teens who can be easily influenced by what they see online.
And this can all happen very quietly, with parents unaware of how their children's views and behaviours are being shaped.
Which brings us to our chef special, the hidden trends of disrespect.
Made by the Australian government, this ad aims to help parents understand the harmful messages present on social media so they can better guide their children towards respectful relationships.
Let's give it a watch now.
Life is a war for status.
Women don't want you to be kind. They want you to control them. If you're not in control as a man, you're a beta.
Who are you texting?
I know you left me on scene.
You're gonna regret blocking me!
Control as a man.
James. Is everything alright?
Yeah, it's nothing.
So, you're definitely alright.
Do you know what's influencing your kids? Learn the hidden trends of disrespect before they lead to violence. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
So, do you think this ad will be effective in reducing hostility? Why or why not?
I think the ad will hopefully encourage parents and guardians to talk to their children, and particularly their sons, about the issues it raises. So while it may not reduce, it can certainly has the potential to play a role in reducing it. Every little step counts.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job, especially as a government ad as well. I know there's a lot of feedback rounds and a lot of people that I'm sure it had to go through to get out into the world. So I think they did a really good job of, it's not demeaning or it doesn't over-explain. I think they execution.
Or talk down.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think they did a really good job on this one.
Definitely, yeah, hints at what's the problem and kind of educates as like the core, which is really good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, awesome. How do you feel about the ad being targeted towards the parents and focusing on their guidance of their children rather than on the children that are experiencing that themselves?
I mean, I think it's definitely a good strategy to go down because the children are very young and susceptible to information and then their peers as well. So I think it's a good strategy to target the parents who can guide them and teach them the right ways, because it's an insane amount if like one woman is dying every 11 days.
Oh.
I mean, I think it's a really good point too, like to direct that conversation onto the parents or people that they look up to, like someone that they want to listen to for advice, you know, to redirect that narrative from online to conversations in person. I mean, I don't think we can really hold accountable if we're not having these conversations in our living rooms and with them directly.
You know, as advertising students, do you think there's anything you would change to make it more effective or impactful?
It was a beautiful ad. I mean, how they showed them walking into different rooms and how easy it is to be led down different paths. I think it was a great metaphor.
And bear in mind, it's a very different mediascape that young people are accessing now. on their phones alone to what their parents would have been accessing 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crucial to have these conversations and stay informed about the influences shaping our society.
We hope this discussion has provided valuable insights into the challenges of guiding young people in today's digital world.
Well, thank you very much for joining us for our Out of the Week segment. We've really been great hearing how you feel about that one. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. No problem.
Thank you.
Wow, Jake, what an episode.
It was great, right, Z?
We learned so much about online ethics and the challenges in today's digital world.
And how great was it to hear from last year's team? It's so comforting to hear how well they're all doing.
I know. I love all those stories they told us about Hungry Talks last year. I think we're doing pretty well too, Jake. I think we are.
Yeah, definitely. As we wrap up, a quick reminder to all of you watching to make sure you get your quick brief submissions in by next Friday, because the best entry will win for this week.
Yes, make sure to send them in. We are very excited to see all of your creative ideas.
And I have something I prepared earlier here.
Butter and cheese. Classic Jake.
A big thank you to everyone in our studio audience and to all of you watching at home.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.
Stay curious.